Ho ho ho! Happy holidays and welcome back, travelers, to another installment of Grug the Grung Stories and More, where we offer repose to the weary and glory to the brave. I am Grug the Grung, and this here frosty scenery is the pond. I am excited once again, everyone, because today we are opening up our winter holiday present of 2022. That's right, we're inclusive in this channel, baby! Today we inaugurate a new section of the channel with our very first Am I the A-hole video. And what better way to kick off this new section than by deciding if someone is being naughty or was being nice. Our story of today comes from Reddit user RPG Storytime Throw, whose character was, after a series of questionable moves, executed by their DM. Now pour yourself some eggnog, gather around the fireplace, and without further ado, roll post! I'm not sure how common this is, but this one's a story where I was at least part of the problem. I'm honestly curious as to how much other people would put on me, so consider this an Am I the A-hole crossover. Also, I'll put a TLDR at the bottom instead of editing this down at a reasonable length. I played this character for over a year in a D&D campaign, back when I was a university student. That was long ago. Over the course of a number of incidents, he changed as a character. I felt like I was making reasonable role-playing decisions at the time, but by the end of it, the DM decided to have him killed for the good of the game. At the start of the campaign, the DM gave us a bunch of guidelines to work within. It was a low-magic, low-tech world. Metal was going to be hard to come by. He didn't forbid magic-based classes, but said there would be some stigma against them and magic was rarer than standard in D&D. The homebrew setting involved conflict between light and shadow, factions which were distinct from good and evil. We didn't have to pick a side, but the group decided to be shadow aligned. I'm not sure how we decided this, but one of the players worked out a fun homebrew shadow paladin with the DM, so maybe we went along with it. We were going to be from a small fishing village that was being oppressed by a nearby group of barbarians. I pitched a human ranger who hunted for the village. I'll call him Ranger. He was a widower with a teenage son to take care of and had a dark personality. He hated the barbarians and wanted payback against them. I asked if it was a problem to play an evil character and was given the go-ahead. I put him down as neutral evil and described him as close to neutral but a bit too selfish and vindictive. During the first session, the DM had everyone add one connection between their character and the character of the player to their left. I forget exactly what we were told the bounds were, but in any case, the player next to me decided that his rogue was the reason Ranger's wife had died. I forget the exact details, but I think it was something like he'd stolen some medicine that she needed without realizing that someone would soon desperately need it, and she died because the village healer couldn't save her without it. No one else knew this had happened. Okay, quick pause. We can see that already the party finds itself in a position where conflict is bound to arise. OP has rolled themselves an evil character, which is not necessarily wrong, but more often than not, just having an evil character creates tension between PCs. There are ways to work around this and maybe go through a character arc that makes them become good, but then we introduce a character that caused his PC to turn evil in the first place. Well, maybe not evil in the first place, but you know, he killed his wife indirectly. But, point being, this creates a direct line of conflict between two PCs. At this point, DM should have stopped the character creation process and asked for another character background in order to avoid future conflicts, but they decided to go about it in a different way. Back to the post. So off we go on our way, trying to save the village. At some point it was destroyed and we start a migration with our characters guarding the other villagers, looking for a new place to settle. Then Ranger was told what Rogue had done. I forget the context, but given the way it was described to him and the way I'd been playing him, it was clear to me that Ranger would murder Rogue. I talked to Rogue's player out of character, trying to find a resolution that would work for both of us. He wanted to keep playing his character, and I wanted to find a satisfying way to roleplay mine. The DM said we could think about it too, and we could work it out next session. Next week, the game opened with my character having a vision. The god of hatred appeared to him in his dreams and asked for his service. He would grant Ranger power, but in exchange he must swear to not kill the person he hated the most. This worked for me. My character got a nifty artifact and a follower. And we had some fun role-playing the antipathy between him and Rogue. Ranger naturally became more evil, given that he was now a sworn servant of the god of hatred. Alright, let's continue the analysis. So we got ourselves a quick band-aid solution, which was not too bad. They aligned themselves with a higher power to prevent PC conflict from escalating any further, and OP got some neat perks in the process. However, the problem here is that they have just sworn themselves to an evil god. Rather, if DM had presented, say, the god of love, who also asked Ranger to not kill whoever they hated the most, then we would be on a road to redemption and forgiveness, which to me makes a little more sense. But that was not the case, and instead we will bear witness of the evil rabbit hole that Ranger was sent into. Fast forward some time, we have a random encounter with a werepanther and my character fails to save. Our DM was excited to try out some lycanthropy rules from Dragon Magazine, or maybe Dungeon. We had an argument here because the rules made my character unplayable, but we worked around it with some modifications and I rolled with it. One possibility for me at that point was having my character become an NPC villain and rolling up another character for myself. But I think the DM wanted one of us to use these lycanthropy rules. The key thing here was that my character now had to occasionally eat a human or he would take permanent wisdom damage. Also, if I recall correctly, he would at various times transform into a werepanther without control over his actions and rampage. I asked about possibly eating non-human player races, but rules as written, lycanthropes only escaped wisdom damage by eating humans, no matter what their own base race was. So now my character was a cannibal. I decided that he would make a hard distinction between the people he was protecting, the villagers, and other humans, and prey only on them. Rogue had been an outsider too, stranded in the village via shipwreck, which influenced this. Ranger started treating people from other groups worse, and in general became more evil. Ugh. At this point, no one in the party can really expect OP to play out their character as a good aligned one. We are all aware of the infamous, "it's what my character would do." But can you really blame them given everything Ranger has gone through? Their character is literally out of control, and yes, it's part of the narrative of course, but the DM has control over this narrative, and they decided having fun trying out lycanthropy rules was better than player agency. One last evil doing coming up before I declare my verdict. There is one more incident that stands out to me. Honestly, it's the place I feel like I was most out of line, but it was my first time gaming with the other player involved, and we're still gaming together years later. Apparently, he was cool with it, though I don't think I would be now. Anyway, a new player and character were introduced to the group. Elf was some sort of homebrew elf subtype that had light powers, and it was working for a current enemy and was introduced as an antagonist. I don't know exactly what the DM was thinking here, but the shadow-aligned party captured Elf after the second time he messed with their plans. Here again, I couldn't figure out a way to roleplay Ranger consistently without killing another PC, let alone having him join the party. Ranger tied Elf to a tree and tortured him while I talked to the other player out of character, trying to find a solution. I proposed that his character swear obedience to mine, and that I'd then not actually give him any orders or really expect Elf to obey Ranger. That's what we went with. A while later, the DM started a session with a long description of my character getting kidnapped. There was a trial, and the other PCs tried to influence things, but there was an angry mob that, together with the guards, couldn't be overcome. My character was executed for lycanthropy. I talked to the DM about it afterwards, and he said my character was too disruptive for the campaign. I remember being surprised at the time. I don't remember any incident which had happened recently before the session where my character was a problem, but I may well have missed something. I felt at the time that the DM might have been frustrated over my character constricting possible story developments for the party. There was also his general behavior, since he had to murder and eat NPCs occasionally. That's something I would normally have a PC do, but it was an element I felt the DM had forced to my character. I think it's also possible that another player complained and the DM didn't want to reveal that. Pure speculation though, as I can't really remember any incident that would trigger that and didn't occur to me as a possibility at the time. I kept playing with a new character, and the campaign ended when the DM had a child with his fiancée, so it ended about as well as a story like this can. TLDR, I made a slightly evil character, and over time he became more evil, at least in part in reaction to decisions the DM and other players made. The DM then had him executed because he was too evil and disruptive. Yeah, this whole situation sounds like the DM wanted to try different things and just didn't anticipate the consequences. Accepting a character background that comes in direct conflict with another PC, aligning said evil PC with an evil god, the whole lycanthropy ordeal, and finally introducing a PC from the opposing faction to the most corrupted character in your party. What else could you expect to happen? I can kind of personally relate to this whole ordeal since I also had a PC of mine turn evil and become cursed by a creature. Slowly but surely, they started to descend into evil territory. You know, the usual killing indiscriminately and losing control to the curse kind of shenanigans. And as such, I wanted to retire them by dying at the hands of their friends. You know, something poetic. But my DM wanted to use them as an evil NPC and put them in situations where that would be possible. However, that campaign died off, so... Anyway, the point is, DMs, it's fine to get excited by the possibility of trying different things in your games, but sometimes less is more. Otherwise, your games can just spin out of control, like exemplified above. Now, if your game is supposed to be full of silly shenanigans that spin out of control, then go ahead, but just keep things in perspective. Also, if your players are not feeling it, remember it's their character you're toying with. So, you know, be considerate and don't corrupt them to hell. I hereby declare you not the asshole, and no one in this story really. The one I can see having the most fault here was the DM for killing your character out of the blues to fix a problem of their making? But I can't quite call them an asshole. Rather, they were just inexperienced as a DM and just mismanaged the whole ordeal. Hey, it happens to the best of us. That will be it for today, folks. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope your rest days have treated you jolly. If you have enjoyed yourself here today at the pond, feel free to drop a like, comment, and follow the channel for more stories to come. Good luck, outdoor adventurers, and happy holidays! May we meet again in the new year.